You're listening to episode 3 of the Innovation Conversation, brought to you by Innovation Network. In this episode, we go through a range of innovation topics, such as a tour bus pivot, as well as how LEGO fall in love with their users' pain points. The episode lasts around 20 minutes. I really hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Innovation Conversation. We've got Grant.
Hey everybody, episode 3, we made it!
We're going to say that every episode.
Yes, episode 103.
We're not cancelled yet. And we've got Chad.
Hey, how you guys doing?
And I'm Connor. So, should we just jump into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
First topic.
All right, first topic in innovation news. Keeping up with our transport theme from last week, it's a pivot on bus services in London. So there's a company that's turning their empty tourist, the tourist buses have got those open double-decker buses. They've pivoted those into UK commuter buses, COVID-friendly. So you could have social distancing, sit at the top, less chance of virus transmission, all that sort of good stuff in a really neat pivot, I thought. So all these empty tourist sightseeing buses getting turned into commuter, COVID-19 friendly commuter buses. So I love that.
Cool. Yeah, and for anyone who's not familiar, pivot is innovation language for failure. We don't say failure, we say pivot, don't we, Grant?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no such thing as failure in innovation, Connor. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what's the exact, what were they doing again? They're just...
Yeah, so it's a London open air bus company that's pivoted to commuter trips. So yeah. Because I don't know about the London transport scene, but I think that it's safer to be in an open double-decker bus, so open to the air, social distancing. It would be a safer commute than like a closed-in, badly ventilated or poorly ventilated traditional bus. So they've taken all these empty tourist buses and turned them into COVID-friendly commuter buses.
Yeah. So it's no longer for sort of seeing the London Eye, and it's more for going to the shops and things like that in those buses. It's a really good idea. Yeah. What do you think about that, Chad?
Well, I'm always for businesses pivoting, and with the climate now and there not being any tourists around at the moment, I think it's a fantastic way for them to utilize their buses and actually at least make some money in this trying time for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can imagine what sort of hit they took. I mean, nobody was going anywhere, so definitely a really good idea. So because I can imagine with them being in the open air, it's very useful because apparently transmission rates are much better in the open air. So yeah, I can see that working definitely.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
You're making me think, talking about the tourism industry and pivots, I must look next week into like the hotel industry and pivots. So I might do that quickly. So pivots is where you adjust rapidly to a change or an innovation, made famous by the book, The Lean Startup, which will make an innovation tool of the week in a few weeks' time, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. A big one. I can imagine hotels, sort of hospital beds and things like that. I mean, I haven't looked into it, but yeah, definitely.
I'll look into it between now and next week's podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good.
Well, keeping up with the theme of pivoting, Connor and Chad, my next innovation topic on sort of corporate innovation trends and good ideas is a very cool one. And it's all about embracing a culture of failure. Now, we know from innovation that 72% of all new product launches fail. Most solutions, most processes, they fail because the user didn't really want or need them. But corporate culture doesn't normally allow for failure. It definitely doesn't reward failure. So there's an organization that's created something, it's a rude word that rhymes with muck or duck. So muck up nuts, but it's a rude word version, is a whole business helping corporate companies embrace and fall in love with failure. Because we know that failure is a leap board or a springboard to success. So they have a really cool blog, muckupnuts.com, and all sorts of cool articles, and they actually run this as a solution for companies where they help you through storytelling and facilitation to fall in love with your failures and learn from them and use them as a springboard.
That's an incredibly brave name to call a company.
Yeah. Spam blocker must be. Yeah.
Great.
It must be Dutch.
Yeah, it must be a different language.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we've got a bit of a failure theme going on. I like this because it's a really important aspect of innovation, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, there's definitely more we should do around that. I think it's key because schooling system, our whole society teaches you to avoid failure, and actually in innovation you've got to fall in love with it
and fail fast. Yeah.
Well,
What
wasn't it Thomas Edison that said he didn't fail 1,000 times to build a light bulb, but found 1,000 ways to
not
to build a light bulb?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right.
And now there's a company actually selling failure by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's a good product. We need to get in on that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's definitely something worth looking into. You know, like selling sort of lessons in failure is a really good business model, I'd say.
Can you imagine the job interview? Oh, sorry, your failures just not big enough. You just didn't knock it up enough. Oh, yeah.
Considering how many times I've failed, I should have owned shares in this company.
Yeah. I know a company you can recruit for, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, do you think there's any sort of future in making like failure departments in companies or things like that? Anything like that? How do you think
there's
it would integrate?
large corporates that have done things like rewarding failure. Tata Communications has got a prize for the biggest failure of the year. And I think that's because normally failures are swept under the rug and people try not to make them, but actually we can really learn from those. So that could actually be another topic, is using failure and hopefully using failure and learning from it rather than just sweeping under the rug or trying to avoid it.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, company-wise or on an individual basis, it could probably drastically change the actions that a company or individual takes, I imagine, yeah.
Absolutely, especially in terms of innovation, where there's no exact science, there's no magic wand. Yeah.
I also think it's an amazing leap forward in just having a healthy attitude towards the failure within the company.
Yeah.
Maybe not treating it as the best thing in the world, but as a necessary aspect of what needs to happen in the company. I think it's fantastic that they're doing that.
It's absolutely necessary. Yeah, you can't have the innovation without the failure. So actually, we want to do an episode on failing smarter, right? So that's definitely one for the future podcast list. I like that. Failure conference. Note to self, you heard it here first. Well, let's pivot from failure to success, Connor, because your RoboBird idea from episode 1 is gaining some traction, and I found the BirdBot 2.0 very, very cool. So they've created a drone with bird's wings, so it can maneuver very agilely compared to a traditional drone. It can hover. They're using it for like safety inspections, things that need like a constant motion. The picture looks really weird because it's a traditional drone with these like bird wings, and I can't quite figure it out. But it exists and it's in prototype. It's a new flapping drone. Can take off, hover, and swoop like a bird.
Wow, that is cool. I mean, it reminds me a bit of the old sort of flying machines, you know, from like the early 19th century sort of thing. It looks really strange. Yeah, I mean, what do you think they use it for most? I mean, what do you think are the main sort of uses for this?
The article was saying things where you need like fairly static hovering, fairly precise movements, and pretty fascinating. I'm not enough of a biology student to know how it works, but obviously the wing motion of birds is so much more efficient than anything man-made with a propeller. So too cool. Definitely worth checking out the article.
Yeah, I can imagine, actually. I can imagine it saves a lot of battery life.
Like
aerodynamic.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Connor, somebody stole your idea. Sorry.
We're still doing BirdBot 2.1. I mean 1.0. That's coming out at Christmas because my wife wants one. So
yeah,
prototype.
I still think in terms of taking bird photos, this would probably scare away most of the birds still in its early
You don't know
prototype
that.
stages.
We'll have
Maybe,
to do
yeah.
an experiment, fail, pivot.
I
It
could
be a
become one of
podcast
them
case study.
with
Yeah.
this. Definitely. All right, so we got to rate this now then. Cool. So let's go for first simplicity. What do we think of simplicity? Bit of a tough one because it was found in nature, wasn't it? So in that regard, it's quite simple. However, I can't imagine the process of sticking it on a drone was quite simple.
No, I feel like that's not simple at all. So yeah, simplicity. I'm going to go 6, maybe. I don't know what you guys think. It can't be
Chad?
easy.
It's definitely not easy, but I do have a question. Are they just shoved on the sides? Because you said it's just a normal drone, or is it actually expertly put on and it does something to change?
No, it does. It does work. It does absolutely work. So it's a drone that flies like a bird, hovers like a bird.
Okay, so
beautiful technology.
I can agree with the 6, but I might be leaning towards 5.
I mean,
you break the tie.
Yeah, I've typed down 5. I agree with the 5.
All right, sold.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I did read a conspiracy theory that all birds were replaced by the government to be drones. So
oh, wow.
This gives a lot more validity to that, but let's not go down that rabbit hole. Cool. Okay, let's go to impact.
That could be an application. Impact. I didn't do enough studying to see what the real impacts are. Yeah, things like monitoring, changing tech that needs to be more precise. I'm not sure how wide a drone that flies like a bird would be.
Yeah. It's probably hard to judge if it's in its early stages, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we don't really know what sort of impact it has. I would be, I would say maybe give it lower than the Robo Sloth and the self-cleaning chairs, because I think they've got quite high impacts.
Yeah.
We both gave them a 9, so I'm thinking sort of like maybe a 6 or a 7 for this one. Don't know what you guys think.
I think 6. Chad, what do you think?
I can agree with 6. Yeah.
It's not looking good for the bird parts. It's not looking good.
Oh no.
And it's only because I can only see this working for a narrow aspect or a narrow number of people within the industry. I can't see it being like everybody in the neighborhood having one.
Yeah, I'm huge into tech and drones and birds. I'm very much into birds. I can't imagine how I'd use this. But no, I'm sure it's got a lot of applications in very niche markets, you know. Definitely. So cool. So ease to implement. What are we thinking for that?
I think it might be 6 again, right?
Yeah, I'd say maybe this one could be a 7, maybe, because I mean, are you thinking 6 as well, Chad?
I was thinking 6, but tell me why you said 7. You might sway me.
Just because I can imagine for the use cases that you'd use this for, it could be pretty. I just feel bad for it, to be honest. Shall we give it a 6? Well, it's not a bad score. It's just a mediocre score. It's the other 2 scored so highly, you know.
Yeah. What's going to happen when you find an innovation that really doesn't work and we give it 2s and 3s, Connor?
Well, it's just gonna have to. We'll have to have a Hall of Shame.
Yeah,
Hall of
That's
Fame.
a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
definitely. We got to split this podcast into seasons, and then we can have a Hall of Fame and a Hall of Shame.
Yeah,
best innovation, and we'll round out the score.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So we'll give that a 6. And so the final score is simplicity 5 out of 10, impact 6 out of 10, and ease to implement 6 out of 10. So mediocre. Let's not call it a failure. It's done well.
It's still a pass. Let's be honest.
Quite a Robo Sloth.
Yeah, an interesting bit of tech. Interesting bit of tech.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, it's time to pivot to the next topic. And my question to you guys is: do you know who is the largest tire manufacturer in the world?
Tire manufacturer?
Yeah, you know, wheels, tires.
Oh, wheels. Oh, sorry. Michelin. That's going to be my guess.
Keep guessing, Chad.
Tiger wheel and tire. I have no clue.
Well, spoiler alert, it's Lego.
What?
Lego makes the most wheels in the world. So I love Lego. It's my little boy's absolute favorite toy. I don't know when it was invented, but it was a long, long time ago. It must be one of the oldest running toys in the world. And this week's creativity tip of the week is fall in love with your users. Really fall in love with your users' pain. And that statistic I mentioned is so true. 72% of all new product launches fail. And I think it's because we just didn't really get to know our user enough. And Lego had been having some pain. So Lego had been in a loss-making position, and they'd been trying to nail a product, Lego for girls, and they really weren't getting traction. They weren't succeeding. And this week's link is a lovely story about a little girl who wrote a letter to Lego all about the type of Lego that she wanted that just wasn't provided for. And this spurred the designers at Lego to really go out and talk to their target user. And they created a whole new series of Lego called Lego Friends, which, Chad, if you've got kids, which you don't, you'll know Lego Friends have got all kinds of very cool things that actually you probably couldn't label them for girls. It's maybe gender neutral to girl friendly, but beautiful, beautiful toys and a very profitable line for Lego now. So it was a segment that they just couldn't get. And actually the idea that really worked came from an 8-year-old girl, I think, as I understand it.
Well,
So
that's great.
Listen to your user, yeah.
I was actually watching a video the other day, and these people were doing a review of certain products that they couldn't understand why they were marketed towards specific genders. And I think this is a really great idea that they've just made it gender neutral, and it actually works. And the fact that it came from a 8-year-old little girl's little letter going to Lego is even better. I mean, it just shows the imagination in young people is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and ask your customers what they want. I really loved it, yeah. Really good lesson, a lesson for all companies, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it takes a lot of, it's a bit hit to the ego when you sort of decide that your users know what they want more than you do, you know.
Yeah,
it's definitely worth doing, and it's you know, sort of instilling that culture into all companies, because it reaps so much benefits, because you're listening to what the customers who are buying your products want, you know.
Yeah, rather than you, the product manager, marketing manager, design team saying, right, we come up with this idea, we're going to launch it to our customers.
Yeah,
it's almost outdated, that way of thinking now, isn't it? And
yeah, definitely.
I'll
tell you what process helps with that is design thinking, innovation. If only there was a training company that taught that sort of stuff.
This podcast is brought to you by Innovation Network.
That's 555. Anyway, no, that's not. Okay. All right, Connor, give us the innovation tool of the week. It's time
amazing.
For our last segment. Yeah.
So, innovation tool of the week. So we all know how important rapid prototyping is in innovation. Once you've sort of sorted out through some ideas and you want to make a quick prototype to sort of get your point across. If you're making software, then a really useful tool is something called Figma. What Figma is it's a bit like what we reviewed in the first episode, Miro. We're always going to go back to comparing things to Miro because we love Miro, but it's a bit like that, but it's got more sort of design elements in it. So it's essentially is like a mind mapping tool crossed with Photoshop, I would describe it. So what it allows you to do is sort of drag planes onto a board and add sort of wireframe things. So that's sort of stuff to help design a user interface, but it's got a lot of design tools like Photoshop in it, such as controlling layers. And what it allows you to do is sort of make a really detailed mock-up of a user interface that you can then give to a coder or something like that, and they can go out and make it for you. So it's really useful for someone who's sort of does a lot of the design stuff themselves, however can't code, and they sort of send that out to a freelancer. Instead of sort of making a rough prototype on paper and then making some better sketches of it, you can keep the whole prototype process within Figma. So it's really useful.
Yeah. And also you could do user interface prototypes yourself before you need to hire an expensive design or programming team. So I really like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's useful for anything. It's, websites, apps, emails, even super useful for all that stuff. So yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on. So that's Figma, Figma.
Oh,
I'm definitely checking that one out today.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
note to self.
yeah. The free version gives you 3 boards and then unlimited for if you pay a little fee a month, I think. So yeah, definitely want to check out.
How does the pricing compare to Miro?
I think it's very similar, eerily similar. I was wondering if they were owned by the same company or something. Yeah, I think, yeah, because you get the free boards like a mirror, and that's for free, and then you pay for anything more than that. So, and then it works in the teams look a lot similar to Mirror as well on the side. So,
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Well, worth a check out.
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
All right, then that's all we got time for this week, folks. Thanks so much. That was another Whirlwind Innovation tour, some cool topics.
Yeah,
Same
definitely.
time next week.
Enjoyed it. Same time next week.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us for episode 3 of the Innovation Conversation. If you want to get in touch with us, you can go to innovationtrainingnetwork.com or you can email sales@innovationtrainingnetwork.com. I really hope you join us for the next episode.